You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Doesn't look like we've got any new callers today. And we don't have Mike and Champagne calling back, so he gets a special pass. If I see him again, he goes to the front of the line because he didn't finish his call. But let us get started with Garrett.
Hey, this is Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Yo.
OG caller from Packernet.
Yes, sir.
And you're listening to Packernet After Dark, the best call-in podcast for Packer Nation. So, go Pack, go.
So there. What did I just miss there?
Hey, Ryan. So, since you have an attention span of a 2-year-old,
Rude. Okay.
I thought I would remind you to get on do the AI artwork for Between the Wedges.
Yes.
But then also ask AI to do a theme song.
Okay.
For the podcast for Between the Wedges.
Okay.
Then present that on social media to Brinson and of course, have Clayton and all the other guys tag him in it too, so he's got to see it, so that it's out there and brings you some notoriety and some exposure to everybody. And you never know, man, when opportunities presents itself, you got to grasp the bull by the horns. So
yep.
you got to do it. I'm out.
All right. Yep. For those that don't know, Warren Brinson, newest Green Bay Packer, one of them, has a podcast called Between the Hedges. Garrett brilliantly came up with the idea of Between the Wedges, as in cheese wedges, and it would be Brinson, I think this is how it went, would be between my son and I wearing the cheese hats, between the wedges, right? So there you go. It's a good idea. It's more of a good idea in theory. I'm not really looking to uproot everything I'm doing here and start a new podcast and everything, but it's a very clever idea for sure.
So I was watching, I think, just Pack a Day talking about Colin Oliver.
Okay.
And I got to say, when we drafted him, I was a little surprised because it definitely didn't fit their mold. We've all, everyone's noticed that. And I haven't really had time to watch any highlights and stuff. Been kind of busy. So I was watching some stuff yesterday. Well, I was watching I was busy watching the receivers highlights. That's why I was busy. So I believe I've watched every Savion and Golden highlight there is on the internet.
Okay.
So I'm kind of filtering down. I still can't watch offensive line highlights. It just means nothing to me. It's like, see how he just stands next to this guy and then I just can't. I mean, if he throws up a good pancake, that's fun to watch, but offensive line highlights are just so boring. So anyways, I'll leave that to the professionals. So I'm watching Colin Oliver, and yeah, he's he's definitely small, and I haven't, other than what they talked about and how he was a cool dude, and, I got to say he seems to play with power and speed.
Seems
kind
good.
Kind of reminds me, and we all do this, we all hate it, but we still do it, like prime Matthews, where he'd go around you or kind of push through you. And obviously, Matthews was great for like that 2, 3, 4 year period. And then as he got older, I even used to tease, because there was an award for almost getting to the quarterback every time, it would have been Matthews. Because it seemed like every snap that he, rushed the passer, as the quarterback was throwing it, he was getting a hand on him. Unfortunately, that's not enough. So I was definitely impressed with his speed. He actually kind of looks faster than Matthews. And he wasn't just rushing against, little tight ends and getting chips from, a fullback. He was going up against big old right and left tackles. and I saw him power some of them and speed a bunch, and I was very impressed. Obviously, he's not, the whole NFL, or the whole, internet's like, oh, he's too small. Well, who's that cat from Dallas? I forget his name. I remembered it a minute ago, but now that I'm actually on the phone, I can't remember it.
Mm.
He's not very big either. He's about the size of Oliver. Plus, he will, you tend to gain a little muscle mass and stuff just maturing till you're 25, 26. So I think there's definitely a chance he could, especially in pass rushing situations, he could do pretty decent. And I was going to say something else.
Well, yeah, I think part of the concern is the fact that we switched to a 4-3. And so there's a question of, can a little dude like that function in a 4-3? I think the Jets did a pretty good job of that. They had some smaller guys in the Robert Saleh defense, which theoretically is similar to what we're doing. So it's not impossible, but at the same time, we're pretty closely analyzing a very late round person. I mean, this was not a top 10 pick like Micah Parsons. So, I mean, I don't want to flat out disparage him and say he's going to be trash, but at the same time, again, Micah Parsons, Clay Matthews, how many other early first round picks can we hold as his standard? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he can do. Again, I'm gonna say he has one very distinct role, and that is a situational pass rusher, and let's see if he can do it. Otherwise, it is going to be tough for him to set an edge. It is going to be tough for him to transition to linebacker and all the other stuff that we're putting on his plate. But we'll see. We'll see how she goes. We'll see if he can make the team. First of all, that's the first thing. Can you even get snaps with the football team?
Micah Parsons, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's going to be Micah Parsons. I understand Micah Parsons is an anomaly to be that small yet that good as a pass rusher.
Yeah, there's quite a few guys like that.
He's the hope, right? So, and I was going to say something else, and that's right. I think the best thing about his college career is that he sacked Caleb Williams. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just hearing that, I liked him like 1,000% more. So hopefully he gets a chance to do that in the pros as well. I have a picture of Kabir Bajabia-Miller and Jay Cutler, and let's just say that after he sacked Jay Cutler,
I remember.
They was in a slightly compromised position where it looked like maybe Bajabia-Miller had a little dominance over Cutler.
Yeah, you could say that.
I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I wouldn't mind an updated picture. That picture is actually one of my buddies who's a Bears fan. That's the picture I have that shows up every time he texts or calls me. But yeah, I wouldn't mind an updated picture of a little dominance over Caleb Williams, with the pink fingernails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So hey, he seems like it might be a motor we need because it seems like we have a bunch of dudes that kind of fit the physical mold. I'm 6'4", 270, and all they do is they try. I'm not saying they don't try, but he definitely has more speed than any of the pass rushers we have. And I think that can be used. I think Haskell's licking his chops. I do like the two tackles we got, the defensive guys, big dudes. Hopefully I can walk some stuff about them here. I'm typically busy on the weekends, maybe after the weekend. But hey, go back, go, and gosh, is it frickin' preseason yet?
Well, yeah, and I, don't want to get caught up in that thing where it's like, well, I just want the opposite of what we have. We got the big, strong guys, and maybe we should stop getting all the big, strong guys. And so this guy's the opposite, and so I kind of like that. The problem is we have the big, strong guys for a reason. The little guys, it's a lot of times if you can't win with speed, you're screwed. And that's where I would actually probably disagree with you on Clay Matthews, because the amount of times I saw him just stand there. Just stand, because he didn't win. He didn't win with that initial speed, and so now what? And it's like there was no plan B. He just stood there. And so that was when, I remember it very clearly during the Capers era with Perry and Matthews, where the quarterbacks would stand in the pocket for what felt like 20 seconds because they could not get there no matter what. The benefit of some of the stronger guys, number one, is they can set an edge much better than a guy like Clay Matthews can. Number two, Rashawn Gary is actually probably the winner of the award of close but no cigar, because this guy will get to the quarterback. There is no scenario where it'll be 10 seconds. It might take him 4, which is too long in the NFL. The ball's coming out in 2.2 or 1.8, but he will drive and collapse a pocket. And so, I think if we had drafted a bunch of small, thinner speed guys, we'd be sitting here going, dude, we need something else. This is not working. The other issue is that with the speed guys, what do they want to do? They want to get around the backside. What is the one thing that these guys will always tell you? The worst place you can be is behind the quarterback. The ability to step up and run to the outside, which is why Capers actually started the revolution of moving toward the bigger people, because of all the mobile quarterbacks that just eviscerated us. They couldn't, these guys had no ability, the guys, the Clays and whatnot, no ability, if that's your kind of thing across the board, to control and compress a pocket. They're wild animals. They're flying all over the field. And so when you have mobile quarterbacks, they're not controlling anything. So even if you can get around the guy, he can step up and escape. And he's faster than you, so he can run away from you. Even though you're a fast guy, these quarterbacks are now faster. So I'm not saying it's a terrible thing across the board. A lot of these guys have success. But the NFL largely moved away from that kind of a thing for a reason. And I think maybe they're kind of inching back in a little bit because, now that we're getting, it's constant evolution. You're getting bigger. Okay, then we got to get the ball out faster. Well, now the pass rushers can't get there in time. All right, fine. We're going to start bringing some of the fast guys back. All right, fine. Well, don't overstep that. So I think there is a little bit of that with it didn't work. So let's just look at what we have and do the opposite. But again, Oliver has tons of limitations, but he also has some serious upside that maybe nobody else on our team has. So he's kind of a secret weapon, but only in this kind of limited situation, in this very limited kind of way. And the question is, are the Packers going to trust it enough to be like, okay, run out there for this down and then get the heck off the field real quick? Because if you get stuck out there, you might be in trouble. And that's why teams don't generally like specialists, defensive tackles that are only good against the run. Well, cool, you put them out there on 4th and 1, and what do? When they convert a first down, they hurry up to the line so you can't get them off the field. Now your pass rush is screwed. You're stuck with this 400-pound guy out here. Same with a guy like Colin Oliver. You tried to get me on 3rd and 12. We converted the first down. Now we're going to hurry to the line, and we're going to run right at you because that dude can't set an edge to save his life. And again, I'm generalizing. I'm just, saying in general, we don't want to get caught in that trap of let's just try the opposite. All right, why don't we actually take a break here? We are about a third of the way through the calls anyways, so we'll take a break, and we'll be back with Drew from Green Bay.
Hey Ryan, Drew from Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
About Jaire, I was kind of thinking, popped in my head, what if the whole contract issues, complaints the Packers have to do with, Jaire would go in and start the game and pull himself out a couple plays in. And what if he was doing that because he knew he was going to lose about $1 million for every game? And so by doing that 4 or 5 games, he made another $5 million. But I'm just throwing numbers. I don't remember exactly how many games that's happened in, but the Packers might want him to deduct that from the next contract, feeling that they basically got scammed, that he said he could play when he couldn't. And
I have a feeling that's a super contentious, in other words, even bringing that up would be kind of iffy. Like, hey, you ripped us off of millions of dollars, so we want to, before we even start talking about bringing you back, we want to deduct those millions from your contract or you're not welcome back here. You know what I mean? Like, I would be surprised if those negotiations or those talks even happen. Now, if the Packers want to keep that in the back of their mind, as far as we kind of want to start negotiations a little bit low because we feel we're owed that, but I can't. Maybe you could say it to the agent, but I man, that would be... You say that to Jaire, or that word gets back to Jaire, I could see him giving you the middle finger and saying, I'm never coming back here again.
In the end, if that were actually true, I would think that the Packers would just have to eat it. I mean, you allowed him to go out there and do that to you, and it's kind of on you at that point. And, you know, I think I do side with Jaire. It does kind of seem to me like the Packers were trying to force him out there. I mean, Kyle Shanahan has a long history of this, and I think that's what ruined David Bakhtiari's career, because I remember all the videos, oh, look how much he's doing, look how quickly he's rehabbing, and it's like, yeah, he's doing way too much, way too soon, and then it's re-inflaming the fluids going back into his knee, and he's got to get it drained, and now it's a huge setback, and now his career's over. I mean, you know, Jaire got his, people forget, he got his PCL surgically repaired, so it's not like he's faking it. So if the Packers were forcing him, that's on the Packers. So I just think, in the end, I think when both sides, you know, now that it's the new year, both sides can come together. I've always thought it made the most sense for him to stay. And I could see them wanting to take a year off the contract. That makes a lot of sense to me. But, I mean, we can theoretically make a run at the Super Bowl with him. But without him, I'm not sure that we really can, to be honest. Like, it would be a lot harder, let's put it that way. And with Doubs, I think with the rumors about Doubs, where there's smoke, there's fire in this case. Like, Doubs isn't some huge name like Metcalf or something. You know, like, for his name to be brought up, he's kind of an obscure player. It's not really like a player that's going to get a lot.
Let's get to part 2 here.
True, part 2, 3-minute monster got me. So, yeah, basically what I was saying is Doubs isn't like a name so big that he's really going to get people talking, so I don't think the journalists are just going to be making it up out of nowhere. And so it does, you know, and his name has been brought up.
Well, it as I said before, I think it absolutely could be. So I'm trying to think of what all the different things have been. There's obviously the DK thing, which I'm looking up right now because I don't know where that even came from. I've just kind of heard that somebody said that somebody said that somebody said it. So I don't want to keep referencing it without knowing where this specifically came from and what was said. The other thing was, again, a guy that has a pretty bad reputation said that, I don't even remember the exact words, but as I said, it's actually not that surprising. If you think about it, let's take Lazard off. Who does Rodgers want to come with him? It can't be Lazard. We already talked about that. Can't be Devontae Adams. He's already got a new team. Can't be Christian Watson because he's injured. Who's it going to be? It's Romeo Doubs. It's obviously Romeo Doubs. So if you're just going to make up some crap about somebody that, like, Rodgers wants to bring along with him, Romeo Doubs absolutely makes the most sense. And as for the DK, I cannot find it anywhere. I've seen people propose it as an option. The first person I can find here is Benjamin Solak. On January 13th, proposed the idea of the Packers trading Doubs for Metcalf. Following that proposal, the rumor gained traction in sports media. On February 28th, Corbin Smith of Emerald City Spectrum reported via an X post that the Seahawks had spoken with multiple teams, including the Packers, about Metcalf's availability. Smith suggested the Packers' offer included the number 3 overall pick and either Doubs or Dontavian Wicks. By the way, I'm looking for that post. It looks like it was deleted. Matt Schneidman on February 28th reported, there has been no contact or negotiations as of now between the Packers and Seahawks regarding a DK Metcalf trade. Now, this may have come after the fact, but you have Matt Schneidman saying there's been no talks of any trade with DK Metcalf. And that came the same day as this Corbin K. Smith tweet. I found it on another site. Again, he deleted the tweet. From my understanding, Seattle isn't actively shopping Metcalf, but at least one team has inquired, feels that they have a trade package in place to make Schneider strongly consider pulling the trigger, and he's at least been willing to listen. That same day, He tweeted out, one team to keep close tabs on, the Packers. A source indicated they have had discussions with the Seahawks this week and have an offer on the table that includes a high pick and a young receiver on the roster to acquire Metcalf. Obvious connections to Schneider as well. This is when our own Packers insider, beat writer, says there have been no talks whatsoever. Corbin's third tweet says, based on what I've heard, the Seahawks to move DK Metcalf trade would have to be structured to receive number 23 and either Romeo Doubs or Dontavian Wicks. Now, first of all, the Packers would not give that up. And he didn't even say that that was the package. He says, from what I've heard, the Seahawks would need this. He says anything less than that, and it's not happening. And again, for the 50th time, Schneidman said, there's been no talks whatsoever. Now, Schneidman later did an article where he put together a potential trade package if the Packers did want to get them. He says the Seahawks will want a young receiver if both Metcalf and Tyler Lockett depart. So let's offer Doubs and a 4th-round pick. This is not a rumor that he heard. This is, okay, so DK wants to go. What is one package the Packers could potentially offer? So as far as the where there's smoke, there's fire, one of the concerns I always have with that is when there's a lot of BS smoke. I could start today putting out reports that the Packers are looking to trade... They're looking to trade Jordan Love. You say that's nonsense. Okay. Well, tomorrow I'm going to put out a new one that there's another team looking to acquire and have called about Jordan Love. And then the next day, could put out another article. You know what I mean? Like there's an accumulation of smoke. There's absolutely no fire. And while the metaphor actually makes sense, if you see smoke, you should be wary of fire. The problem with social media and all this stuff is the ability to create smoke from nothing is very, very easy. So when we say when there's smoke, there's fire, we have to accumulate not just how many reports there are, how many legitimate reports from people that we trust there are. And as of right now, unless somebody can direct me to something, because I absolutely may have missed something along the way, there's probably some stuff that I forgot, feel free to tell me. The total number of reports about Romeo Doubs from people that I trust that the Packers have either been actively shopping him or even considered shopping him or have talked about shopping him or anything of that nature, the total report is 0. So I agree when there's smoke, there's fire, but as of right now, the smoke count for me and Romeo Doubs is 0.
And a couple of things where it does seem like he would be at peace. And I do wonder if the Packers would want to deal him to get... it's just his personality, just get rid of the baggage and, move on. And even though he's a good player, we drafted 2 wide receivers. We're going to be moving on from some. Why not get something for Doubs? Let's say we can get a 5th rounder. That's somewhat significant. And then, hope Wicks and these other guys step up. That's perfectly reasonable to me.
And again, I'm in favor of it from a this is reasonable standpoint. I can understand the logic behind it. My biggest issue with that is that it does put us at a very disadvantageous situation. Look, if we go through camp and both receivers look like they're studs, let's have that conversation. As of right now, I don't know if either of our rookies can play. Christian is out. Doubs can't catch. And Reed cannot carry a football team by himself. He absolutely needs people around him, and we just got rid of Doubs. I mentioned before, Doubs could arguably be our best receiver. Now, that's not based on any statistics or anything like that, but when you just look at it in terms of his skill set and things of that nature and what he brings to the table, you could argue that, he may be the more talented guy. Either way, at this point, I don't feel comfortable losing Doubs. I think we absolutely have to keep him. If Christian was healthy and Matthew Golden was a really good receiver and Savion Williams brought some level of security to it and, he was kind of pushed down the depth chart. As of right now, we don't have an offense without Romeo Doubs. We have a slot receiver and a tight end. Again, Wicks is, as of right now, Wicks is nothing. Wicks is so inconsistent and up and down. I think right now Wicks is a hopefully he can become something type of guy, but that's it. There's nothing else beyond that. And again, Jaden Reed, if you isolate Jaden Reed, let's assume there's no help anywhere else, and they're able to just press him up, he will be erased from a football field. We've seen him get erased for, about, a third of the games, quarter of the games, half the game. I don't know how many games. He was erased. So unless and until we can see Savion Williams and Matthew Golden step up and really run this offense, I hate the idea of getting rid of Romeo Doubs.
With Jenkins, the only thing I could see is if he wanted an extension, that does make a little bit of sense. He might be thinking, I'm a major part of the Packers' plan, so now is the time I have the most leverage. And if I hold out, it's going to set their plans back the most. So let's have now be the time where I try to use that leverage and get an extension. If they want to give me a contract anyways, then why don't they just extend me now, right? So I could see that, but I don't know. It was pretty flimsy. So yeah, overall, I guess I don't think there's much into it. I think they're just reading into it too much, but that's a potential caveat there. So anyways, what do you think about that? Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, I've already kind of interjected and given my thoughts on those. Again, Elton, unless and until he doesn't show up this week, I'm not concerned about it. It's not uncommon to have people not show up. I said Jaire didn't show up last year. It wasn't because of a contract dispute. He said, I was working out in Florida or wherever he works out, and he's like, I feel like I get better trained out there than, going through some of the generic rookie stuff. Okay, whatever. I don't know. Again, I generally would prefer you be there with the team, but I also understand that this is sort of 101 kind of stuff, and you're like, I'm doing intense training and working on what the coaches are trying to get me worked on, and I'd rather not stop my training for the season and go back there and do that kind of stuff. Not that I couldn't also do that, but whatever. I will accept that excuse, which might be a lie. I don't know, but I will accept it. But I'm not. The whole time I thought it was weird that they're like, oh, he's not there. You know what that means? And I'm like, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? I've never in my life that I can remember had a situation where it's like, I wonder who shows up, I wonder who doesn't, and then we find out who shows up of the veterans and who doesn't, and everyone that didn't show up, it's like, whoa, something serious is going on. I've never experienced that. So I fundamentally don't understand it. It's just creating a problem where it doesn't. It's not that it can't. Maybe it's. If he is holding out, then the first step would be he doesn't show up to that. But man, we're putting the cart before the horse here a little bit, I think. It's very odd. So far, it's, Monday, nothing's really happened where I'm at. We got final confirmation on that quarterback signing with the Packers, which is only interesting because it's the off season. But yeah, I don't know. We'll it'll be a big thing, I'm sure. A lot of people be keep an eye on it. I would expect Elton to be in the building, and again, like was every single person there except him and Jaire? Obviously, I don't know. I didn't even think to look. It didn't. That's the thing. It's not even because I wouldn't care if somebody didn't show up. Again, it's like well, why weren't you there kind of thing. But as far as like, oh man, it's a big deal. I don't think anything's a big deal. At least not yet.
Ryan, it's Peter from Milwaukee.
Yo.
I just got done listening to that John Williams music banger you created.
Yeah, dude.
Man, thank you so much for appeasing my idea. Nice work, buddy. I wonder what the parameters said when you created the tune.
So I can get you that one of the issues is, and you feel free to further refine it. One of the issues is that there's a 200 character max, and so you kind of have to compress what you're saying. But I can tell you what it said, and you also cannot use artist names. I don't know. Again, I don't know who it would know or not know or whatever, but I'm guessing if you said something along the lines of, like John Williams or something, it would be like, nope, can't do that. So it's doing orchestra as well as trying to keep it in the realm of being like highlight reel type of stuff. So it says, where did it go? Hard-hitting 808s with epic brass fanfares, cinematic strings over the trap hi-hats. Both horns punctuate key moments. Battle horns punctuate key moments. Choir vocals for grandeur. Imperial March-inspired motifs. So there you go.
I'm thinking it went something like, Dear AI music generator, it's me, Ryan. Using the theme of Darth Vader's Imperial March from Star Wars by composer John Williams, please create a rap in the style of Eminem that includes angry-sounding lyrics, long swooping choruses, and a bridge section that has lyrics so fast that anyone listening to the podcast on 1.5 speed will think that the rapper and creator are both on cocaine. Sincerely, Ryan. Anyways, man, loved it, buddy. I actually think that the 2 Anthony Belton tunes that you created were awesome. Love the groove for both of them.
The Belton one seems to be a lot of... I've kind of noticed that one is sort of a fan favorite for a lot of people.
You know what you should do? You should compile all the songs onto one podcast, and maybe somehow it will land in the hands of the rookies. Or maybe better yet, save the songs and use them for a hype video for each of the players at the end of the season when they're wearing green and gold. That'd be awesome, man. Anyways, again, thanks for appeasing my idea. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, so I still haven't done, I think, the last 2. I've obviously got the John Williams song, if we decide to stick with that one, all squared away. I got to do the video for it and whatnot. I'm kind of, if you can't tell, I'm kind of over it, but I also want to finish it so that I can do that. I want to do like one long, put all the video clips with all the music together. I think it'd be kind of cool for all the rookies, but I got to do that, so we'll see. I got other, I've kind of moved on with other projects that I'm doing that I'm pretty excited about. That's the problem. I have a hard time making myself do things I don't feel like doing. I was very excited about it when I did it, and so I did it, and now I'm very excited about other stuff, and I want to go do those things. So, kind of a child in that way. We'll see. All right, let's take a break. We got 3 more calls, so we'll clean those up and get up out of here. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Wait. This is Uncle Rico, by the way.
Yeah.
Yo, start over.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ring, ring, ring. Pick up. Hello. Hi.
Banana
Ryan.
phone.
This is your Uncle Rico. I'm calling you. Sorry, freaked out. Anyways, we got a new pope. I say we. I'm not Catholic. I guess I didn't get a new pope.
Right.
The Catholics got a new pope?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah, they did.
Anyways,
how'd you miss it?
It reminds me of a...
It was all the fanfare, man. It was a big deal. All the white smoke thing and all that. They've got all the traditions down for sure. They've got all the grandeur and whatnot down with all the clothing and the hats and the staff, and I don't know the point of all that, but it definitely adds to the ambiance or whatever.
Movie. You guys are always talking about movies. Of a movie I recently watched called Conclave.
It's a terrible movie.
It's about the selection of the Pope. It's worth watching. It's pretty crazy. The whole politics and stuff that goes on with getting the Pope elected, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Anyways, I recommend.
It was interesting from the standpoint of, as I was sitting there, I was imagining those things were going on, but also at the same time, I have no idea if that's what actually happens or if that's just like Hollywood's representation of what they think happens / what they hope happens, which I'm guessing it's more the latter. But no, I was I had to kind of force my way through that one. That was rough.
Everyone watched the movie Conclave, and congratulations, Catholics, on the new Pope.
Yeah,
and,
well done. You did it, guys.
What do I got to say about the Packers? This is a Packers podcast. I love the Packers. Yes. Our coach, Matthew LaFleur, he needs to, the best thing could happen, I always tell my wife this, the best thing that happened to me would be an industrial accident. I think it might be from a movie or something. I'm not even sure. Anyways, guy is way too pretty. Yes, Ryan, he needs to sleep on his desk. I do that. Sleep in my shop, sleep in my car. He needs to do that. Maybe wake up on a park bench or something. I don't know.
Make it look like you're a football guy. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe for coaching, but I mean, when did coaches become like a? I don't know. I mean, do whatever you want, I guess. It's not. I don't know. I mean, I guess back in the day they had like the suits and the top hats. I mean, they were styling. That you know, but they were styling in like a rugged, manly kind of way. You know what I mean? Like it was Vince Lombardi with his freaking pimped out suit, and then they go back and they smoke a cigar and have a glass of brandy with the boys. You know, I mean, he was one of the guys back there with those. He looked like he could get into a fist fight with half of those guys, and I think he'd have, aside from like some of those defensive linemen, I think he could have handled himself, you know? If you asked me about Vince Lombardi's hair, I couldn't tell you. You couldn't tell me he's bald, and I'd have been like, yeah, that surprises me, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what his hair looks like.
Something. Football is toughness. You're listening, Matt. You got to toughen up, buddy. I mean, you'll be pretty no matter what. You could get run over by the team bus, and you'll still be pretty. So don't worry about the prettiness. Just make the Packers go. All right, break ball. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, and I what we're saying right now is stupid. I get that. I understand all that, but I guess I don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing here. I mean, I guess if that's what you want to do, like, what do you want to do today? It's like, I kind of want to go prune my eyebrows, and then I want to go to the salon, the hair salon, and maybe the nail salon, and like, okay, I guess. I mean, on the list of things I want my head coach doing, number one would have something to do with the football team, and I'm sure he dedicates a ton of time to that. I don't know where on the list, or a better question would be, how big of a list does it have to be before you would add hair salon? I don't know. And I get if there's any women listening, they're all angry right now because they're just like, oh, I understand he is making you happy. I get that. I get that he's an attractive guy, all that. He's also married, so I don't know that appealing to other women should be on the list in any way. Not saying that's his intent. I'm just, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it's like, even when I think of a positive, it's not even a positive. I know there is something to like taking pride in the way you look, and I think that's the best way I could possibly spin it. Is he's such a detail-oriented psychopath that everything needs to be perfect. His clothes, from his clothes to his hair to his game plan. That's what we're sticking with. Boom, right there. Figured it out. He is just a detail. It's not about looking pretty. He doesn't care what he looks like. He doesn't care what people think. He just can't. He can't function if things aren't perfect. He's just a psychopath. Okay, that's boom, nailed it. Figured it out. Moving on.
What's going on, Joe Modified Fighter? How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
This is a call. I'll do this with my specialty. I'll do half football question, half movie.
Yeah.
So my football question is, since I was listening, I think it was Nico was saying or you said how next year's draft was supposed to be a QB draft. If Jordan Love plays similarly like he played this year, I know he was injured, but like a big letdown. It's like two different quarterbacks,
yeah.
Or like how he played the beginning of his first season starting. And he plays like that the whole year. How would you feel like we should draft a quarterback?
Yes.
Or would you?
And it's going to be like Jordan needs to play well, because if it's true and if it holds up that there's like 8 quarterbacks better than like the number 2, let's say the number 2 quarterback in this past class, that they're legit. And I've been seeing people talk about it. There's been a guy that I had referenced before. He's got, I think Cade Klubnik might be his top guy, or somebody might be his top guy. I just saw somebody, I think it might have been Pelissero, talking about, don't be so certain that Manning is the top guy. And so it's already, Manning is the big name that, is out there right now. Kind of like, trying to think what a comparable would be. I'm tempted to say Shedeur Sanders, but that's a whole other... Maybe almost like a Trevor Lawrence in a way. big name that everybody's been talking about for a very long time, since high school, you know? So he's like the Trevor Lawrence, but there's a bunch of guys. And again, we'll see where it settles. Maybe only 2 or 3 or whatever. But here's the problem. As a draft person, as a person that is very future-minded as opposed to today-minded, I'm going to have a very hard time. If we get through 5-6 weeks and Jordan just looks like he's not it, I know I have to calm down. I know that I have to just relax and trust and all of those things. But I'm going to be peeking ahead to next year's draft where there are really, really good quarterbacks. And I'm going to be looking at the fact that we are currently like in position to have a top 10 pick. And if we continue down this path, it's going to be a top 5 pick. And I'm going to have a hard time not being giddy about the idea of getting a premier quarterback in the draft. Because that's how I'm wired, and it is going to royally piss off Packer fans. Almost all of them. A couple people will understand where I'm coming from. But there's going to be strictly Jordan defenders that are mad, and then there's going to be the calm down people that are, just generally correct. But I mean, the amount of people that are going to be, there's going to be the Jordan haters that want him gone no matter what, and then there's going to be a couple people wired like me. But I just know like Packernet After Dark is going to be violently angry toward me if somewhat early on I'm talking about, in the draft there's this guy. In fact, I'm going to annoy you all right now by doing a quick overview. So right now, on the NFL mock draft database, there are 7 quarterbacks that are listed in the top 32. There are 5 quarterbacks in the top 10. 5 in the top 7, in fact. Arch Manning, number 1. And then 4, 5, 6, and 7 are Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU, Drew Allar out of Penn State, who just dropped down to the number 3 spot because he was, I think, number 2. Cade Klubnik is 6 from Clemson, and Lenora Sellers, quarterback out of South Carolina, is 7. If we are staring down a top 10 pick with a quarterback that has not really been a top quarterback, aside from the second half of his first year playing, and that's really the only thing I have to hang my hat on, I'm going to have a hard time not peaking. You know what I mean? And so, real quick, I'm just going to have AI give me a very quick overview of the types of players they are. Just out of my... And again, it's good no matter what. I mean, if he's the dude, then it's fantastic that we have all these quarterbacks in there. All right, what do we got? So Arch Manning out of Texas, refined pocket passer, excellent arm talent and mobility, style often compared to his grandfather, Archie Manning, due to his pocket presence and decision-making. Additional comparisons to Andrew Luck for arm strength and football IQ, and Trevor Lawrence. There you go, as I said. That was just lucky. Garrett Nussmeier, fearless gunslinger. So if you're looking for a Jordan Love 2.0, NFL caliber arm talent, excellent at making NFL throws with accuracy and touch. Competitive fire and playmaking ability under pressure, draw comparisons to Tony Romo, though concerns about his frame and durability are noted. Packers wouldn't do that. They're not getting a small guy. Drew Allar out of Penn State. Evidence leans toward him being a prototypical pocket passer, elite physical tools, including a powerful arm, ability to make throws. By the way, the Packers are seemingly desperately looking for a mobile quarterback, so as soon as I see that, I'm going to say that's the guy, if there is one. His style is compared to Joe Flacco, particularly for his arm strength. I didn't think Flacco had. Maybe that's just because he was old. I don't know. And off-platform throws, though he needs to improve field vision and decision-making. I do not want that. I've seen the Bears go down that path. Cade Klubnik, modern dual threat. There he is. Quarterback with good arm talent, functional athleticism, showing improved accuracy and pocket presence. His style is compared to Zach Wilson. Oof. Noted for similar arm talent, accuracy, and athleticism. Why do all of them sound horrible? Like, we got Tony Romo, we got Zach Wilson, we got Joe Flacco, and we got Trevor Lawrence. Like, okay, so this is a terrible class. Lenora Sellers, dual threat, high ceiling, excellent arm strength accuracy, significant rushing ability. That's the dude. Style is compared to Donovan McNabb, reflecting his passing prowess and mobility with potential for future further development. There you go. Those are the guys. And then the currently later round, although Nico Leava, whatever, UCLA is at 20. So he's already in the top 20. And then Fernando Mendoza is out of Cal. So you just go Aaron Rodgers route again. He's at 32. So he's just inside. We'll see. If Nico goes up, And obviously we got to root for Nico for Nico's sake. I'm just saying. Of course, we already have Jordan Love, and we've invested a ton in Jordan Love. Of course I want him to be that guy, and I want him to get back to the guy that he was. And we've seen the elite tools and all the stuff. I mean, he has everything you could ever ask for in a quarterback. It just has to be, more of the good, less of the bad. Last year was a little bit too much bad and not enough good. If he gets back to that, I'm super happy, and I can't wait to potentially be, talking about could we win a Super Bowl this year again, and we've got a great team and the defense and all the stuff. Can't wait for that to happen. But I'm telling you, by week 4 or 5, if he's looking like he looked last year and there's no injury to speak of, I'm going to start becoming very quietly. You're just going to hear these tiny little sly remarks that are just going to sneak out when I'm trying not to, I'm going to be sarcastic, and there's going to be a little bit, just as a way of me not being able to fully restrain what's fully in there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut. And then by mid-season, it's game over. Even though I know it's going to be like, well, remember, halfway through. But that's not going to work anymore because I'm tired of that. I am tired of playing bad for a half a season, and then the second half of the season, you play good for, out of the 8 games, maybe like 5. Anyway, you get the idea.
You give him a number yet to prove himself.
No.
Would be my football question.
Nope.
And obviously, hopefully, he plays like he did the end of his first year starting. Then we had.
Assuming there's no injuries or anything like that, which again, I'm kind of iffy on giving him the injury out last year. There are specific games where obviously the injury was the concern. There's also a lot of time where, as far as I know, there shouldn't have been any kind of injury issues as a reason for why you're playing the way that you're playing. But I'm willing to just throw out the entire year as of right now as like some injury-riddled kind of weird year. But if this year comes and you're looking like last year and there's no injuries to speak of, I'm going to reintroduce last year as evidence against you, as well as all the years that you've been here and the fact that there is nothing in this offense that you don't know how to do. You are, aside from Matt LaFleur, probably the most well-read and adept person in the Matt LaFleur offense. And I can't speak for the Packers and what they would want to do. They would potentially be more willing. I mean, again, if we're drafting really high, good luck. I mean, the only person more excited about drafting a quarterback early in the draft than me has got to be Brian Gutekunst. You start throwing those at his feet, he's going to start geeking out a little bit. But I'm just saying from where I'm at, no, you have to play well this year. This has been a long time. And we saw one good half of football from you. It was a very good half, and you were maybe arguably the best quarterback in football, and it was awesome. But under no circumstances am I willing to be patient. Continue to be patient. If you play poorly for the first half of the year, I'm going to be extremely annoyed.
Let's not patient. Like we paid him. Anyway, that's my football question. Also, my other football question is, who's your favorite rookie so far that you're interested in looking at? And then let me see.
That's tough. I mean, Golden for obvious reasons. I mean, it depends kind of what we're talking about. I mean, Golden has to be the guy. We are putting a lot on Golden. You look at Belton. I don't have massively. I mean, I'm going to have second round expectations for Anthony Belton, but I mean, if he, I don't want to say necessarily redshirts, but if he kind of redshirts for a year and then maybe next year that's acceptable. I guess it's not ideal. I'd like him to come in and dominate day one. But, we have an offensive line without him. We have an offensive line without him and Morgan, which, again, that's a serious problem if we get to that point. But we do. So it's not like he has to come in and do something. And, Savion Williams, just the way that the whole thing is being phrased, I mean, you could say I'm the most excited about, but it just feels to me like the Packers don't view him as like he's going to come in, be our X receiver and all this stuff. I have, if you just look at, let's say I had never heard the Packers speak or anybody else speak about Savion Williams, he would probably be my answer. But just the way everybody else characterizes him, including the Green Bay Packers, I don't think he's going to have a big impact this year. I just don't. based on watching him play football, I would say he could come in and be our best receiver. But it doesn't feel like that's going to happen. Golden is the guy that's like, if you come in and you're not that dude, that's a problem. Like we need you to be that guy. We need a number one receiver, and we drafted you to be explicitly to be that guy. And I understand things take time, and if you can do it in year 2, that's great. But no. We expect you. Like we're putting a lot on your shoulders here. But I don't know, man. I'm feeling very excited yet skeptical, and with kind of everybody. Barron Sorrell is kind of that mid-round guy where you look at and go, he might be able to come in and do some damage. We'll have to see how that all shakes out, but I could see him at least coming in and maybe usurping Kingsley Enagbare. Now he's got Brenton Cox to contend with, who's kind of making a name for himself a little bit, but when you put it that way, I almost wonder if the honest answer is Anthony Belton. In terms of who we need to be that dude, it's Matthew Golden. In terms of realistically, who do you think can come in and, I hate to say surprisingly because he's a massive second-round guy, but kind of in a surprising fashion end up being just this dominant force that ends up being the best pick of the draft class? Anthony Belton makes a lot of sense, especially, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like him at left tackle, but, Jordan Morgan, when he got to Green Bay, they started him at left tackle. I went back through some of the notes from last year. That's where they wanted him to be. Belton makes so much sense to me as like a right guard. Man, would it be cool if he came in and was just a legitimate, first of all, you're not getting any pressures against this dude. He is a stone wall, but in the run blocking game, he is a grader. If he can be a left tackle, I'm all for that. But I just wonder if he could come in and over the course of time, I'm sure they're going to try him at different spots, including left tackle. Although I'm guessing rotation might be a little bit lesser than what it has been in other years, because, they're not going to rotate out Zach Tom. And Elton is our center. Like, that's just what it is. They'll rotate as far as, like, 2s and 3s, but in terms of, well, let's try. No, there's no trying. We're not trying Zach Tom at center and Elton at right tackle. We're not doing that. And I think Banks is the left guard, I would assume. Maybe they try him at right and try some other stuff. I don't know. But it feels like it's a little bit more set in stone where we have a right guard and left tackle competition and everybody else just do your job. Like, you know what you're here to do, go do it. But it would be cool if he ended up just coming in and being a dominant force on that offensive line. And then you got it where it's like Elton can kind of reach his full potential as a center. And from center to right, you got Elton, who's a solid center. You've got Elton and Belton, and then Tom, and that whole right side is just a freaking, and run blocking. Like, Elton's a good run blocker when he's playing at his best. Tom is a good run blocker. That could be a real serious force in that regard. And we brought in the guy from San Francisco, which I'm somewhat skeptical of, Banks, but the idea being he's a bigger guy that can pass block as well as be a little bit more of a road grading run blocker type. Then it's just a question of, can Morgan freaking win that left tackle job and kind of present what we've been wanting, which is a pass blocker that can run block, We're talking best case scenario across the board, so we got to see, but I don't know. I don't know. Which one am I most excited about? I feel like I'm letting everyone beat me down on Savion Williams because that should be the right answer. I've just been beaten into the freaking dirt with that guy. It's not John Williams. Matthew Golden, I've beaten myself into the dirt on that one because of the speed thing. It's not really Brinson. It's not Sorrell. It's not Colin Oliver. It's not Micah Robinson. So yeah, it's Savion Williams or Anthony Belton, I think, are the answers depending on specifically what question we're asking.
To my specialty, which is the film.
Yep.
Give a little movie talk. To spread out a little football. I want the callers, so it's everybody who's hearing this, just call and give me 1 to 3. It's up to you. Underrated movie. So a movie that's good, but either nobody's heard of it or it's not as popular as you feel like it should be, or it could just be old and a lot of people don't know what it is. Mine is a buddy cop movie. It's called Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. That is an underrated movie, great soundtrack. And the other one, I'm trying to remember the daggone name of it. I'm driving, I can't think of. It's a buddy cop movie, but it's Sylvester. I want to say it's Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, but I cannot think of the daggone name of the movie right now. And I have the daggone movie, so I'm mad that I cannot remember the daggone name of it. You can probably look it up and then just tell.
Tango and Cash?
But those two, to me, are very good movies. They're kind of opposite end. Like, Running Scared is more of like a comedy with some action in it, you know, and then the other one with Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell is like a straight, hardcore action film. And I think a lot of people in this generation probably don't even know or have you heard of these movies. So I would highly recommend both of them. Sorry, I forgot the name of the other. But anyway, go Pack, go.
That's funny. I was trying to think of movies that fit your criteria. The one that I always bring up, I think I've mentioned it a couple times on here, that I really like, that as far as I know nobody in the world has ever watched it, is Always Outnumbered, Always Outgunned. Love that movie. But as soon as you mentioned Billy Crystal, two movies came to mind. One of them came immediately to mind, and then when you mentioned like the cop thing and everything, another one kind of came to mind. I don't know why this immediately came to mind, but as soon as you said Billy Crystal, I thought about Father's Day, 1997 movie with Robin Williams. It's one of those that was just like, back in the day when you had just cable, you know, this is like pre-Netflix and everything, HBO, Cinemax, all that stuff, they would just run movies all the time, and you'd click through, and some of the movies they would just play a ton. And one of the ones that I would just watch every time it was on was Father's Day. Funny movie. The other one is Analyze This with Robert De Niro. I freaking love that movie. That was another one that was just on all the time. I think if you have a movie from around like 97, 8, 9, around that was around that time period where you had the movie channels that were just playing movies all the time, and these were the movies that you would see. So Analyze This was another one I've seen I don't know how many times. There's also Analyze That, which I think was the second one, but Analyze This is a freaking hilarious movie. It's one of those movies where there's all these little sayings that I'll say, and half the time I don't even know where they come from, and they come from this movie. Bada bing, bada boom, Betty Boop.
Okay, so hey, Pico. So I've been giving it a lot of thought.
Okay.
Literally all day, all night, ever since 2-3 days ago. And, Ryan, part of being adult is admitting when you're wrong. And,
You breaking up with me?
I was wrong. I think Bob Pack is better. I've been literally going in my head over the yeah, you're right. You know? So, you're right. I was wrong. You were right. And, that's all I wanted to say.
What are we talking about?
And, hey, go Pack, go. Have you watched Nacho Libre yet?
No.
Just checking, because, you haven't said nothing.
I actually asked my wife yesterday if she's seen it. She said yes, and it is funny, and we should watch it with the kids. She said it was funnier than Napoleon Dynamite, which surprised me and upset me a little bit, but also got me a little excited. First time ever, I think, in our marriage that I've had to have her explain a movie to me, because usually it's the other way around. There's a movie that everybody has seen except her, and I make fun of her. And this is, appreciate you for turning the tables on me like this.
I assumed you would watch it instantly after,
Yeah.
But maybe not.
You assume wrongly.
Whatever you want to do. But anyways, go Pack, go.
I need to watch it. I do. I get it. I failed you. I failed you all. I appreciate your patience in this matter. Anyways, talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.